Imagine a city that knows you're about to get stuck in traffic before you do. A city that predicts crime before it happens. A city that adjusts energy consumption across millions of homes in real time without anyone noticing. This is real, and it's happening right now in China. While Western cities debate regulations and privacy laws, China has already built something unprecedented. Cities that think, learn, and control themselves. And the gap is widening every single day. Here's what most people get wrong about smart cities. They think it's about fancy gadgets, electric buses, phone apps, solar panels on buildings. That's not what makes a city smart. A truly smart city is an operating system. Think of it like your smartphone, but instead of apps, it controls traffic lights, security cameras, energy grids, hospitals, and even how fast garbage gets collected. In Hangzhou, China, a city of 10 million people, there's a brain called City Brain. This artificial intelligence system processes data from cameras, sensors, and smartphones across the entire city. Every second, it analyzes traffic patterns from over 1,000 intersections. The result? Traffic delays dropped by 15% in the first year. Ambulances reach emergencies 50% faster because the AI clears their route in real time by changing traffic lights ahead of them. But here's the crazy part. The system predicts problems before they happen. Traditional cities respond to issues after they happen. A water pipe bursts, then repair crews show up. Traffic builds up, then officials study the data weeks later. Chinese AI-powered cities flip this completely. Sensors monitor water pressure across the network. When the AI detects unusual patterns, pressure dropping in one zone, rising in another, it flags the location before the pipe actually bursts. In Shenzhen, pilot districts using predictive maintenance saw water system failures drop by up to 40%. These weren't citywide numbers yet. They came from specific zones testing the technology. But the results were dramatic enough that Shenzhen started expanding the system across the entire metropolitan area. That's 40% fewer flooded streets, fewer service disruptions, and millions saved in emergency repairs in those pilot zones. Now, imagine scaling that across an entire city of 12 million people. This same logic applies to everything. Energy grids predict demand spikes before they happen. Hospitals receive advance warnings when disease patterns emerge in specific neighborhoods. Public transport adjusts routes based on predicted crowd movements, not yesterday's data. The city becomes less like a place and more like a living machine that's constantly optimizing itself. There's a structural reason why Chinese cities can deploy these systems at speeds that would be impossible in London, New York, or Paris. Centralized decision-making. When Hangzhou wanted to build City Brain, the city government partnered with Alibaba and launched it across the entire metropolitan area in under 3 years. No voting, no multi-year environmental studies, no battles between different city departments protecting their turf. Compare that to New York City, where installing new traffic sensors in Manhattan can take 5 years of approvals, community meetings, budget negotiations, and legal challenges. In China, when leadership decides a city needs an AI operating system, the question becomes, how fast can it be built? By 2023, over 500 Chinese cities had launched smart city initiatives. That's 500 cities, more than the entire population of cities in the United States, testing and deploying AI urban management at the same time. This creates something economists call rapid iteration at scale. When 500 cities experiment simultaneously, successful ideas spread fast. Failed approaches get abandoned quickly. The learning curve accelerates. Traffic management is where Chinese AI cities show their biggest advantage, and it reveals exactly how these systems think. In most Western cities, traffic lights run on timers or simple sensors. A camera detects cars waiting at a red light, so the light turns green after a set period. Chinese AI systems see the entire city at once. Shenzhen has over 23,000 cameras feeding data into a central traffic AI. Instead of monitoring isolated intersections, the system maps the movement of every vehicle across the city in real time, like watching blood cells flow through a living body. When congestion starts forming on one highway, the response goes far beyond changing traffic lights at that location. The system reroutes vehicles miles upstream, preventing cars from ever reaching the bottleneck. Bus schedules shift automatically. Navigation apps receive live updates, guiding drivers onto alternate routes before congestion even appears on their screens. The city becomes a self-regulating flow system. Here's a real example. During a concert in Guangzhou with 60,000 attendees, the AI predicted the exact time crowds would leave, which roads they'd use, and where bottlenecks would form. It pre-adjusted 200 traffic lights across a 5-mile radius. When the concert ended, traffic cleared 30% faster than previous events. Coordinating that level of control exceeds human capacity. It would require more traffic controllers and officers than any city could deploy. An AI overseeing the entire system simultaneously makes it possible. China's smart cities don't just manage traffic, They control energy at a level most people can't imagine. Traditional power grids are dumb. They generate electricity and push it through wires. When demand spikes on a hot summer day, utilities fire up backup power plants, which is expensive and inefficient. Chinese AI cities treat energy as a living puzzle that needs constant solving. In Zhongnan, a new city being built from scratch 60 miles from Beijing, the energy system uses AI to balance supply and demand every single second. Solar panels on rooftops generate power during the day. The AI predicts exactly how much energy each building will use based on weather, time of day, and historical patterns. When predictions show excess solar power, the AI charges electric vehicle stations and stores energy in batteries. When demand rises, it pulls from storage instead of firing up coal plants. The goal? The city is aiming for 80% renewable energy through AI-powered solar and storage orchestration. Current pilot systems are already hitting 50–60% efficiency, not because people change their behavior, but because the AI orchestrates everything behind the scenes. Individual residents never notice. Their lights work, their air conditioning runs, but the system is constantly shifting energy around like a chess player thinking 10 moves ahead. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The AI negotiates with factories. Major industrial facilities in Chinese smart cities receive real-time pricing signals. When energy is abundant and cheap, the AI encourages them to ramp up production. When the grid is stressed, it offers payments to factories that voluntarily reduce consumption for a few hours. This happens through automated contracts between machines, executing thousands of microtransactions every day. This is the most controversial pillar, and the one that makes Western observers deeply uncomfortable. Chinese AI cities integrate security cameras, facial recognition, and behavior analysis into a unified surveillance network that can track individuals across an entire city. Hangzhou's city brain can follow a single car from the moment it enters the city until it parks, using license plate recognition across thousands of cameras. If police are looking for a suspect, they input a photo, and the AI scans every camera feed simultaneously, locating the person in minutes. In Chongqing, the system analyzes pedestrian behavior at crosswalks. When someone jaywalks repeatedly, cameras identify them, and they receive an automated fine via text message. If someone loiters in an area for extended periods without clear purpose, the AI flags it as unusual behavior. The official narrative from Chinese authorities is safety. In cities with these systems, response times to emergencies drop dramatically. Missing children are found faster. Stolen vehicles are recovered within hours. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The same system that finds missing children can track dissidents. The AI that predicts crime can also predict protests. The technology itself is neutral, but its application depends entirely on who controls it. Western cities face a fundamental tension. Citizens want safety and efficiency, but they also demand privacy and limits on government surveillance. Chinese cities made a different trade-off. Citizens accept monitoring in exchange for safety, efficiency, and technological advancement. Whether you think that trade-off is worth it depends on your values, but the technological capability is undeniable. Here's the fundamental challenge Western cities face. They're not built for centralized AI control. In the United States, a single city might have separate departments for transportation, energy, water, police, and sanitation, each with its own budget, its own data systems, and its own priorities. When someone proposes an AI system that needs access to traffic cameras, energy grids, and police databases, the legal battles begin immediately. Who owns the data? Who's liable if the AI makes a wrong decision? Which department controls the system? In London, Transport for London manages the underground. A separate agency handles buses. Another manages traffic lights. Private companies run energy. The city government oversees planning. Each entity guards its data and authority. Building a unified AI that manages all these systems would require unprecedented cooperation, data sharing agreements, and legal frameworks that don't exist yet. China avoids this problem entirely. When the central government decides to deploy an AI city management system, every department answers to the same authority. Data sharing becomes a directive, not a negotiation. Western democracies move slowly by design. Laws protect citizens from government overreach, but they also slow down deployment of new technologies. The European Union's GDPR regulations restrict how governments can collect and use citizen data. California's privacy laws limit facial recognition. New York banned biometric surveillance in schools. These protections exist for good reasons. They prevent abuse of power. But they also mean Western cities can't build the kind of comprehensive AI systems China deploys routinely. Here's a specific example. San Francisco banned government use of facial recognition technology in 2019. The city decided privacy concerns outweighed the potential benefits. Meanwhile, Chinese cities were installing millions of facial recognition cameras and using them to manage everything from subway payments to building access. There's no right or wrong answer here. It's a question of priorities. Western societies prioritize individual privacy. Chinese society prioritizes collective efficiency and security. But the result is measurable. Chinese cities deploy smart systems 5 to 10 years faster than Western cities. Building AI-powered cities requires massive upfront investment, and China is outspending the West dramatically. Between 2020 and 2025, China invested somewhere between $300 to $400 billion in smart city infrastructure, combining government spending and private tech investment. The United States invested roughly $50 billion across the same period through infrastructure grants and private partnerships. That's a 10-time scale advantage for China. Why? Chinese local governments compete to attract technology companies and talent. Building a cutting-edge smart city becomes a status symbol and an economic development strategy. Cities borrow heavily, knowing the central government will support major initiatives. Western cities face budget constraints, voter resistance to tax increases, and political battles over spending priorities. A mayor who proposes spending $500 million on AI infrastructure might lose the next election to someone promising to fix potholes and fund schools. The incentive structures are completely different. China's tech giants, Alibaba, Tencent, Huawei, Baidu, are deeply integrated with government smart city projects. When Hangzhou built CityBrain, Alibaba didn't just provide software. They co-designed the entire system, embedded their engineers in government offices, and treated the city as a living laboratory. Western tech companies face stricter boundaries. Amazon, Google, and Microsoft bid for government contracts, but they operate at arm's length. Privacy advocates and media scrutinize every partnership. Projects get cancelled after public backlash. In 2019, Google abandoned a smart city project in Toronto after fierce public opposition over data collection plans. The project would have transformed a waterfront neighborhood into a sensor-filled testbed for urban AI. No Chinese city would cancel such a project due to public pressure. The decision-making process simply doesn't include that type of public veto power. For thousands of years, powerful cities were defined by armies, walls, and trade routes. In the 20th century, power meant industrial capacity and financial centers. The 21st century is different. Urban power will be measured by computational control, how well a city can predict, optimize, and manage complexity. Chinese cities are building that capability faster than anyone else. They're creating a new model of urban governance, where algorithms make thousands of micro-decisions every second, optimizing for efficiency at scales humans can't match. This gives them advantages that compound over time. More efficient energy systems mean lower costs for businesses. Better traffic management attracts companies that depend on logistics. Faster emergency response makes cities more livable. All of this creates economic momentum. By 2030, the most competitive cities in the world might not be the ones with the best universities or the most startups. They might be the ones with the smartest operating systems. Here's the question that makes everyone uncomfortable. When cities become intelligent systems that can predict and influence human behavior, who controls them? In China, the answer is clear. The government controls AI, and the Communist Party controls the government. There's a direct chain of authority from the algorithms managing traffic lights to the highest levels of political power. Western democracies don't have a clear answer yet. Should elected officials control these systems? Should they be managed by independent agencies? Should citizens have the right to opt out of monitoring? Should companies that build the AI have any say in how it's used? These questions carry real consequences. They will shape urban life for billions of people over the next 50 years. China's approach offers efficiency and scale, but it concentrates power in ways that make liberal democracies uncomfortable. Western approaches protect individual rights, but struggle to achieve the same level of coordinated control. There's a third possibility. Maybe different cities will make different choices. Maybe Singapore's model will look different from Shenzhen's, which will look different from Stockholm's. But right now, China is moving so fast that they're defining what's possible. They're setting the standard other countries will measure themselves against. Let's be honest about the trade-offs, because they're real. Citizens in Chinese AI cities gain dramatically reduced traffic congestion, faster emergency response times, lower energy costs through optimization, cleaner air from better environmental monitoring, more efficient public services, safer streets with predictive policing. They lose privacy in public spaces, anonymity in their movements, the ability to organize without surveillance, control over their personal data, the power to question how decisions are made. Western citizens maintain strong privacy protections, democratic oversight of surveillance, legal recourse against government overreach, slower but more transparent decision-making, but they sacrifice speed of innovation, system-wide efficiency gains, competitive advantages in the global economy, the feeling of living in a cutting-edge city. Neither model is perfect, Both involve compromises. The fascinating question is whether a city can have both, efficiency and privacy, innovation and democratic control. So far, no one has figured that out. China is redefining what cities are by building them smarter from the ground up. For 5,000 years, cities were physical places, collections of buildings, roads, and people. They changed slowly. You could visit a city, leave for 20 years, and recognize it when you returned. AI-powered cities operate as software platforms that constantly update themselves. Hangzhou in 2025 processes information differently than Hangzhou in 2023. The city keeps growing and it keeps learning. Western cities are watching this happen, trying to figure out how to compete without abandoning the values that define liberal democracies. Some are experimenting with privacy-preserving AI. Others are building systems with citizen oversight built in, but the gap keeps widening. China is on track for over 1,000 urban AI laboratories by 2030, building on the 700-plus pilot programs already running today. That's 1,000 cities testing new approaches to traffic, energy, security, and governance. The data they generate, the lessons they learn, will accelerate their development even further. The race for AI-powered cities goes far beyond flashy gadgets or towering skyscrapers. It centers on control of the operating systems that run human civilization. Here's the reality most people have yet to grasp. When cities can think and predict human behavior, they move beyond serving citizens and begin shaping them. The routes you take, the energy you consume, the places you gather, the information you encounter, each one influenced by algorithms optimizing for goals you never selected. The real question concerns timing. This future has already arrived. The question is, when your city becomes intelligent, who decides what it thinks about? When traffic lights can read your license plate and know everywhere you've been, when cameras recognize your face in crowds, when AI predicts your behavior before you act on it, what does urban life even mean? China has made its choice. They're building cities that think like machines and control like governments. The West still faces a decision, and every day of hesitation widens the gap in the race that will define power in the 21st century. So here's what keeps me up at night. What happens when Chinese AI cities become so much more efficient, so much more competitive, that other countries feel they have no choice but to copy the model, values and all? What happens when efficiency defeats privacy because citizens in democratic countries demand the same benefits they see Chinese cities providing? That's the real race, not just technological, but philosophical. And right now, China is winning. If you think AI is reshaping cities, wait until you see how China is moving ships over mountains. Watch next. China built a ship elevator to cross mountains.